Hey everybody, welcome to Bad Yogi Q&A Wednesday with me, Erin Motz, where I answer the questions that you guys send me via email and social media too. Today's question comes from Danielle, and she writes, "It seems that almost every yoga teacher I follow and look to for inspiration and connection is wrapped up in the fervor of the political climate. I respect everyone's perspective, whether I agree or not, and want others to feel safe in our online community. I prefer to have political conversation in person and take action privately, so I'm just curious as to how you keep politics out of your messages and posts." I know that a lot of us feel politically exhausted because everything politics is just on surround sound right now. I also felt similarly worn down by politics for this exact reason until I had a little epiphany that sort of shifted my perspective, which I will share with you now. So to answer your question as to why I don't bring this stuff up, I've personally chosen not to talk about it for business reasons, but not because I personally don't want to. It's like this. I'm Erin, and Erin has personal opinions, but I also represent Bad Yogi, the collective. And aside from everybody knowing that Bad Yogi is a place of acceptance and open-mindedness, I just don't want my personal opinions about economic policy to get wrapped up within Bad Yogi and then accidentally get associated with the larger whole. So that's why I personally don't speak out about anything too controversial, because I just don't want it to get associated with what Bad Yogi stands for. My own personal approach aside, I think it's super cool for yogis to talk about politics and think it would be a great thing if we kind of changed our perspective on mixing yoga and politics in general. I know we get to feel really uncomfortable with it because there's tension associated with disagreement. But I don't think disagreement is actually a bad thing, and I don't think talking about politics is wrong, especially if we do it in a respectful and mindful way. Of course, that is the challenge. But in order to talk about politics in a way that is mindful and respectful, we have to drop this idea that not talking about it means we're taking some kind of higher moral ground. Because quite frankly, as individuals, if we see something that we know is wrong, we absolutely should speak up about it. And like I said, Bad Yogi itself isn't political, but if somebody walked into our figurative home with racist or misogynist attitudes, I would absolutely reject those views. So I always say that people are always welcome and they're capable of change, but certain views just absolutely won't be tolerated. That could be considered a big political statement, but that's just something I feel strongly about and would stand up for. What I'm trying to say is that it takes courage to pursue the things you think are right, and being a yogi shouldn't mean you have an excuse to stay quiet about things that matter to you. When we think it's better not to talk about politics, we feel entitled to get upset when we see someone else doing it because we've already decided that it's not correct to talk about it ourselves. So then it feels like someone else is breaking the rules while we're standing quietly in line, and that feels like crap. And I get this feeling because I've done this too. I've held myself to a standard that nobody else follows and then gotten upset when people aren't playing by the rules that I am. But I think if we can do two things differently, we'll all feel a lot better about the whole thing. Number one, remember what you stand for. If you believe in keeping things private and you don't want to put your opinions out there, that is fine. That means that you should proudly stand by that belief and not get rattled when someone else speaks out because they feel just as strongly that they should be doing that. Number two, speaking out or keeping your opinions to yourself, neither one is better than the other, even in yoga. Try to drop the belief that you can claim some kind of moral high ground because you keep your opinions to yourself. We're all perfectly entitled to speak out when we want to, as long as we don't harm anyone else. And it's really okay if it causes disagreement. So if disagreement is what arises from these conversations, let it be okay. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the subject. I really hope that this was helpful, interesting. As usual, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you think about mixing yoga and politics in the comments below. Keep it respectful, keep it mindful, make sure you're on my list to keep getting Q&As, free yoga classes, and a bunch of other stuff I only talk about in email. Until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you right back here for the next one.